Getting fresh dog food delivered to your door seems like an absolute dream, and today we are taking a look at Yours. Yours is a subscription dog food delivery service that aims to provide you with fresh food delivered to your door with a frequency. Now, the first thing I want to say is that this video is not sponsored by anybody, so it's really important that you get that unbiased opinion from someone, because every single review you see of these services seems to be from the company or somewhat biased. So this is going to be an unbiased opinion. So today we are going to review the full service, the food, the recipes, the ingredients, and then at the end of the video I am going to give you some pros, some cons, and my verdict. As with everything dog food, we are always going to look at the ingredients first. The ingredients is where manufacturers cannot lie to us as to what they put in the recipe. So we are going to review 3 different recipes and determine whether these are good or bad. The first one is the chicken thigh Mediterranean casserole. Composition: skinless chicken leg, that's 23%. Chicken thigh 60%, chicken drumstick 40%. We then have chicken gizzard 22%, chicken heart, sweet potato diced, red pepper 9.5%, spinach, white quinoa, rosemary infused sunflower oil, cold pressed hemp seed oil, etc, etc. So not only they include chicken meat, they also include liver and bone. And let me tell you, meat, offal and bone is what your dog should be having on a regular basis, because that's what's appropriate for their diet. They should always have some sort of meat, some sort of bone, and some sort of offal in their diet. So I do like that about this recipe. This is what we call in the industry a 60-40, whereby meat comprises 60% of the recipe and 40% is the rest of the recipe. We have veg, which is 26.5%, seeds 6%, and fruits and others are 7.5%. The second recipe is the steak and kidney mushroom hot pot. The first ingredient is prime beef, 24%. The second one is beef heart at 23%. We then go into red pepper, 10.4%. Beef liver, again another form of organ meat which is extremely beneficial for our dogs, 7.5%. Beef kidney, another source of offal, 5.5%. Spinach leaf, 5.4%. Sweet potato, about 5%. Quinoa, about 4%. Parsnip, carrot, rosemary infused sunflower oil, etc, etc. Again, this is another recipe whereby 60% of the recipe is meat and 40% is fruit and botanicals. The third recipe we are going to look at is the pork shoulder sage and apple stew. We have pork shoulder, that's 24%, pork heart, 23%, pork liver 11%. So not only they include fresh meats, they also include the offal and the bone that are so beneficial to our dogs. Sweet potato 8.5%, yellow pepper 5.8%, red pepper 6%, white quinoa 4.5%, parsnips 4%, etc, etc. Again, all the recipes seem to follow the 60-40 model, whereby 60% is meat, 40% is the rest of the recipe. So what do we think about these sort of things? To determine whether this is good or bad, we are going to disseminate some of the pros and the cons of the service and give you a verdict in the end. First pro I see, this is a step up, a clear step up from some of the worst kibbles. So if you have been on a veterinary prescription diet, if you have been on low quality kibble for a long time and you give your dog something like this, well, your dog is surely going to benefit from fresh food, from prime cuts of beef and chicken and gizzard and liver and good quality ingredients that they seem to put in their recipes. So if you are upgrading from a low quality food, this this is surely going to be a step up. The second pro I see is the convenience, and these services rely on the convenience. I mean, you will not have to do anything else apart from get the box delivered to your door. You will be able to input a frequency when you want the food delivered, and the food is going to get delivered. Your direct debit is going to be enacted, and that is going to be the end of the transaction. You will not have to think about dog food anymore because they are going to do that work for you. And the third very clear pro is that they seem to want to feed your dog better quality dog food. This company is a big part of a new cohort of companies that are a bit more reliant of a more informed consumer. So if you have been reading ingredient labels in your dog's food and you don't seem convinced, and you see a lot of wheats and meat and animal derivatives and barleys and rice and all these sorts of ingredients that are quite bad for our dogs, they're inflammatory, they put sugar in kibble or in dog food, and you are fed up with it, this sort of food will cater a lot better to you who are a bit more informed about their dog food. So is that enough? Well, I have some cons for you. The first con and my biggest pet peeve is that 40% is arguably a lot of filler. It's arguably a lot of carbohydrates, it's a lot of veg, it's a lot of seeds, it's a lot of things that aren't meat. And let me tell you, you want to be paying for meat. You don't want to be paying for red pepper, for quinoa. You don't want to be paying for yellow peppers or sweet potato. You want to be paying for meat. And meat is what costs money in the supermarket and what costs money in dog food. So the more meat you give your dog, the better it's going to be. And listen, some of the best kibbles put 80% meat in their recipes. Some raw foods put 80% in their recipes. Some raw dog foods comprise only of meat, and that's 100% meat. So at the end of the day, 40% is still quite high in carbohydrates. The second con I have is that it is very expensive for what it is. And this is twofold because their pricing is very opaque. They make you jump through so many hoops whereby you have to input your dog's name and your details and all the information to get to a price and to get to a point where you actually know how much this thing is going to cost you. And this is not exclusive to yours, but it happens with all these subscription services. They do not really have clear pricing and clear things that will tell you how much this thing is going to cost you per month. You are going to have to input different data points, and that is going to be somewhat frustrating for you. So what is the verdict? Well, if price is not an object, is not a consideration, and convenience seems to be the main consideration for you, then yours could be a good option for your dog. And I know some of you are going to say, well, why don't you just feed the dog raw? Well, because some people just don't want to feed raw, they don't want to touch raw, and they are grossed out by the thought of giving their dog any raw meat. So this could be a very good option for those people. But on the other hand, if money is indeed a consideration and you think this is going to be pricey, and it is indeed pricey because of the convenience, well, you can do a lot better, and you can do a lot better through some really good quality kibbles, and you can certainly do better with some good quality raw dog food. I know that people get very, very tribal when it comes to raw food or when it comes to kibble, so it is good to have an alternative. It is really good for people to explore different options, and there are really good quality options in every single camp. You should never be detracted from one camp or the other because there are always going to be really good options. And so listen, if you are conscious about your dog's food and you want to examine what the best dry dog foods are in the UK and you are looking for reviews, I highly encourage you to watch this video next. Please let me know what you think, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.